Oh, Russ Shelton all dressed up with a mask.
We're going to get this thing started. Kind of a weird start. Everybody's getting their food first, and then we're going to do welcome to you and everything. Welcome, Rotarians and guests, to the Rochester Rotary Club, September 15th, live and Zoom meeting. My name is Ron Lichtel. I serve as your club president. Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, which we'll just figure it up here. We don't have it here, but we got it.
Go flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go ahead and be seated and join me in the four-way test. Of the things we think prayer do is the truth,
is a fear of all harm, build goodwill and better friendships, beneficial to all concerned.
both become for all.
Oh,
David,
we were going to drop that.
lost it already. No. Oh, it's Mary Ann. That's who it was. All right. Mr. David Early. Yes. Yes.
As we gather in prayer and enjoy our lunch, and as we gather on Zoom as well, we're keeping Roger Bird in our prayers, who's in the hospital, and Jeff Dubron. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Jeff Dubron in our prayers too, who's having some health issues. So let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this beautiful day to gather as Rotarians, both in person and online, and we're grateful for this opportunity to put service above ourselves, to care for the community around us, to care for the people. Even as we pray, we lift up those impacted by the wildfires across the Northwest and the West Coast of our country, for the first responders and the firefighters who are responding, to those, Lord, who have lost everything, and to those who are responding with care and compassion. For Rotary's presence even now, help us, Lord, as we respond to these needs of those in our world, as we continue to commit ourselves to serving, to caring, and to being present in this very community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, David. Do we have any happy folks in the room?
I'm happy I'm leaving on vacation on Friday, and I will be gone all of next week up north out of here.
John, can they pass the microphone around? John, are you on site?
Okay, Rod. Any other happy thoughts? Go ahead, sir. I'll be on the line. Anybody else? All right, we're going on to birthdays. We got a bunch of them this week. Blake McClellan was on the 3rd. We didn't meet this last week, so we got to say it to him. Stuart Signer on the 7th. Shirley Goldfrank is on the 9th. Kyle Johnson's on the 11th. Carrie Riggs on the 15th. Today, Tate Bowe on the 16th. Jeff Fosnaw on the 19th. And Mark Tisdale on the 21st. Let's all sing happy birthday to the Rotary. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians. Happy birthday to you. Flowers, please. We also have a bunch of anniversaries. Justin Masters, right just about at 2 years right now. Sharon Rinke, it's almost at exactly 1 year right now. Kyle Johnson at 4 years. John Somerville at 4 years. Andrea Walker, lady, at 4 years. John Gaber at 22 years. Tom Delpup at 4. And Kerry Riggs at 14. All right. Congratulations, you guys. Club announcements. First off, yeah, where's Jeff? Do we have any visitors here? You got any visitors? You want to come up and introduce them? Well, thank you. He's got it. I don't want to take his job away from him. I wouldn't need that. Good afternoon and welcome to the greatest club on earth. Russ, you have a guest. Yes, I do. My wife of 29 years. All right. Welcome. And then let's see. It looks like John Modetz is at the guest stud, but she's not here. But John Modetz right there. Oh, he is. Yeah. All right. Welcome. And then I've seen a guest, Lori Weeks, online. So welcome, Lori. Welcome, one and all, Rochester Rotary. Okay, we had a couple changes go through, and I wanted to make sure everyone knew them. I called everybody off club runner, and obviously I found out that list wasn't complete. So what happened when the virus hit, we stopped all major dues and we went to $30. Well, then we found out that's not quite covering everything, so we raised that to 40, and then everyone had a choice. You could either go back to 75 a month, which included all meals, or stay at the 40 and pay 15 at the door. Well, quick math, if you go 3 times, you're about break even. You go 4, you're paying more. So anyway, just so everybody knows, that's what the changes were. We had a great social event on September 3rd. The time the vote put through here at the Rivercrest. That was a good evening. The picnic at the park, Innovation Hills, was canceled, but from what I'm understanding, they are going to reschedule it. Rotary of the Week has been Roger Berg all along, and basically he returned the call, got talking to him. So he said, listen, and then he ended up going to the hospital. But anyway, his wife got back to me and said, to make sure, because he's passing that on, the Rotary of the Week is Christine Hay. So congratulations, Christine. And he said to say that he wanted her to have it because of all the wonderful things that she's done for the club and how she got the library really up to snuff. So, moving on. Sheriff, Mr. Steve Shettenham, are you available?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, can they hear me there at?
You should be online. Steve Shettenham online. There he is.
I'm there. All right. Can
Where
you
would
hear
I
me
put it?
there? I feel like I'm doing a Verizon commercial here. Can you hear me?
Ah,
Hold on, Steve.
this is going to be.
Yeah, the scariest part of this is looking at John's face right up in the camera there. All right. How we doing now?
Hold on, Steve. We're setting you up.
All right. Well, I feel like I'm set up.
Hey, John, if you got it, we'll start. Otherwise, I got 5 minutes for somebody to talk. Got it? Yeah.
All right. Am I in? Can you hear me?
Yeah, listen up.
All right. You can hear me now. Can someone tell me they can hear me? It's there at Rivercrest.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, very good. Well, it's going to be hard to be as funny as it was just getting this all set up, but we'll do the best we can. Maybe we'll have to fine myself $5 for not being there. Just a couple of things to kind of get going here and keep the meeting moving. I know we all missed attending Innovation Hills for the meeting last week because of the rain. I understand that the super mayor has plans to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. For simply the price of a cup of coffee a day, if you'll donate that, he'll be putting out a metal brook awning over the area, and so there'll be no more rain or anything. Just once that bubble is put up, he'll always be able to have sunshine out at Innovation Hills. So just remember that donations are always accepted out there. All you MSU grads, well done again. Looks like we're, you guys are leading the pack on the quarantine front out there. So we appreciate that. They're kind of the COVID carriers for right now. I understand that a lot of the, fraternities and sororities are kind of on lockdown. So we've got the Delta Kappa Epsilon, the Delta Sigma Phi. There's some other groups that are a little closer to home that we're kind of watching on. There's Ron Lichtel's Ron's Warriors. Those people we're a little bit worried about. We're also worried about our lawyers. They have a fraternity, I understand. Do we cheat them and how? They've been very active out there, so we're a little bit worried about that. We're also worried about the Eastmans. They have a group. They're called the Guatemala Epsilon Gamma Delta. Those folks. So we're going to charge all those guys $5 fine as well for trying to make sure they maintain their quarantine. Also, your runners out there, everybody's trying to run virtual races now. So there's been a lot of news on that front. So if you are a runner and you're trying to run the Boston Marathon, the Detroit Marathon, and the Brooksy Way Half Marathon, all from your couch, you cheaters, that's a $5 fine for that. How's Zoom school going? So if you got kids or grandkids that are Zoom schooling, there's a $5 fine for each time you've seen your kid pick his nose, run around the room, or fall asleep in front of the computer. There's also $5 more if you've ever done that on any of those things on a Zoom meeting. Also, we're going to give anybody a $5 reward if they haven't been told to unmute in the last 2 days this week. So, congratulations on that. Also, how about the Lions? You can't go without saying that. So, just $5 if you waited to the end to see how that was going to turn out. In some holiday news, it's National Head Lice Prevention Month. So if the person sitting next to you is scratching their head, maybe they're celebrating. It's Felt Hat Day. So does anybody know if Phil's wearing a felt hat today? Kind of miss his hats on Zoom. It's also IT Professionals Day, or as it's become known as David Blair Day. I think that's the way he celebrates it. That's $5. Also, it's National 8-Track Tape Day. So if you're old enough to know what that is or was, that's $5. And it's also International Housekeepers Week. So if you're not already cleaning your house before the housekeeper gets there, this is the week to start. So for all those things, and I apologize for the technical delays in getting us started, it's $5. It all goes to charity, and we certainly appreciate it. Thanks.
John Somerville, you're on mute. We can't hear the meeting.
With Archibald. Yeah, okay. And then also the back to school program that she was heavily involved in. You're gonna have to bear with me because I forgot the paperwork and my wife texted it to me. Okay, Mary Lee. Mary Lee, you have been chosen to membership in the Rochester Rotary Club because you manifest those qualifications of head and heart needed to serve Rotary and impact the message of Rotary to those with whom you came in contact. I charge you to judge yourself by the Rotary 4-way test and the things you think, say, or do. I wish to impress upon you that you are being admitted not only to the Rochester Rotary Club, but a worldwide association of individuals dedicated to the Rotary motto of service above self. By virtue of your membership in this club, you will be welcomed into any club and fellowship in any Rotary club in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it duties and obligations. You are expected to attend the club's meetings regularly, actively participate in club service, and offer your knowledge, talents, and energy to the club in its efforts to serve our community. I ask all Rotarians and guests to please rise. Mary Lee, on behalf of the members of this club, I formally admit you back into the membership in Rochester Rotary Club. Fellow Rotarians, I commend to you our newest member, prior old member, Mary Lee, and charge all of you to welcome her, to engage her in our projects, fun, and fellowship. Let's give a warm welcome.
Take your seats, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've missed you all. I thought about you the whole time. I think it's been 2 years, I'm not sure, but I try to keep aware of what you're doing. I see Shirley and Russ occasionally, and I've been always pleased when I hear what projects you're doing. That was kind of a little hard in the last couple of months, but it's just so great to see your child. You know, I'm sorry, I just want to add one more thing. I had a knee replacement while I was gone, and I got through it. I'm 85. I got through it 2 weeks ago, I wiped down on my walker.
Ah.
Going out of my sunroom, and my wheels got caught in the back. So that's the theme.
We all do that, right?
Apparently, we're glad to have you back. All right, moving on. Mr. Tim Duncan, are you on?
Yep, I am. Can you hear me? Can you give me thumbs up?
Uh-oh, here we go again. Hold on, Tim.
All right.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, Rotarians, can I get a thumbs up from somebody? Anybody at the meeting? Can you guys hear me? All right, good. All right, our speaker for today is Miss Lori Weeks. Lori has worked as a journalist, marketing writer, and college-level writing instructor. 5 years ago, she also began volunteering as a tutor for Oakland Literacy Council. The experience was so rewarding that she decided to turn her passion into her profession. Last year, she became the tutor coordinator for Oakland Literacy Council, where she happily trains, coordinates, and supports volunteers who help illiterate adults discover their hidden potential. Please join me in welcoming Lori Weeks.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully you will be looking at a PowerPoint presentation. You see it? Thumbs up? Okay. Thanks so much for having me. You may know that September, along with the month of several other things, as Chief Steve told us, is also National Literacy Month. And it's a time when we try to raise awareness about how important literacy is to opening doors and empowering not just the children in our community, but the adults in our community as well. And I'm really excited to be with you today to tell you about Oakland Literacy Council's work here in Rochester and throughout Oakland County. Today, I'm going to focus specifically on why adult illiteracy is a hidden problem, our mission in history in Oakland County. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the students we serve and how we've had to pivot during the pandemic to serve them virtually, and what we're doing to cross the digital divide that so many low-income residents in our community find themselves in. And finally, how you, the Rotary Club, could get involved if you'd like to help out. I'm going to start by sharing a short video from one of our education partners about adult literacy. And as you watch this, I want you to think about why adult literacy is really a hidden problem. Let's watch.
Howard said the mother scones with dishes, but
Mom said on a cake.
Start.
And artist, correct?
No, it's not.
Dismiss. I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put your blame on me. Don't put the blame on me. Some people got the real problems. Some people out of love. Some people think I can solve them. But Lord heavens above, I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all. Don't put the blame on me.
So as you saw from that video, you probably can guess that we talk a lot more about childhood literacy than we do about adult illiteracy, because so many adults function at low literacy levels are really ashamed that they can't do what a lot of us take for granted. So it tends to be a hidden problem until they ask for help. And you might be sitting there wondering, yeah, but I don't think this is really a problem in Oakland County. And I want to share with you some statistics from a study that came out last spring from the National Center for Education Statistics that showed in Oakland County there are over 100,000 adults who are what we call functionally illiterate. Now that doesn't mean that they can't read or write at all, but it means that they do so at such a low level that they struggle with the functioning of the daily tasks of adult living. Things like reading a memo that they get in the workplace, reading an email that comes home from their child's school, understanding instructions from their doctor, reading insurance policy. Things that you and I do every day and don't think twice about are a struggle for the functionally illiterate. And that number reflects two things, two populations in our county. It reflects people who have lived here in the United States their whole life, who have always struggled to read. It also reflects a growing immigrant population here in Oakland County. Over the last 20 years, we've seen a 26% increase in immigrants who live here, to the point where now they comprise about 12% of our county. And even in Troy, here to our south, is known as the second highest percentage of foreign-born residents of any community in the state. Now, a lot of our immigrants come with, well, they are literate in their home countries. A lot of them have college degrees and have been trained for in-demand careers, but language is a big barrier to them being able to fully participate. This picture is one of our students, Winnie, who was a veterinarian in her home country of Brazil, but because she struggled to speak English, she hasn't been able to work as a vet. And she's typical of some of the well-educated students we serve. Now, I'm going to shift from talking about Oakland County to talking about the United States and the impact of adult illiteracy, because those statistics that I have are nationally. And it's a problem not just for the people themselves, but it really is a problem for all of us, because there is a big cost to us. A cost both in terms of lost tax income, because low literate adults tend to be unemployed or underemployed. They also tend to use a lot more of our public health services than they otherwise would. If you can imagine, not filling out a doctor's questionnaire or not reading doctor's instructions means you wind up at the doctor's office or the emergency room a lot more than you need to. And what's really tragic is that if you're a child of a low literate adult, you have a 72% chance that you're going to grow up to be a low literate adult yourself. So we really want to stop adult illiteracy so that we can help that next generation. Now, that's the downside. The flip side of the problem is that there's this tremendous opportunity that each little bit of English makes an adult so much more likely to increase their earnings potential. If they become a better reader, a better speaker, it really opens the door to more opportunities and to higher paying opportunities. Just yesterday, I did an intake test on a woman who's only making $10 an hour as a cleaning lady because she reads so poorly, and she really wants to work to get a better job. Right now, she's juggling 2 jobs to try to pay her bills, and she really wants to become a better reader so she can get into some higher paying professions. So while we have these trends going on, adult illiteracy is as prevalent today as it was 25 years ago. We are faced with the problem that there's fewer government resources to deal with the problem. Here in Michigan, the amount of money that goes towards adult education has really shrunk over the last 20 years. And what that has meant in Oakland County is that a number of adult education programs have had to close. Cities like Hazel Park, Berkeley, and Lake Orion have lost their adult education programs, while others like Pontiac are operating at a reduced capacity. So that means more demand for services from nonprofit like Oakland Literacy Council, where we believe that literacy is really a human right, not a privilege to which everyone is entitled. So our mission is to provide free one-on-one tutoring to low literate adults, online learning programs, and small group learning opportunities. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was founded in 1984. So we just celebrated our 35th anniversary. We are one of the oldest literacy councils in the state of Michigan. And we specifically serve those who are at the lowest level of literacy. In fact, they have to be below a 9th grade level to qualify for free services. Once they improve their skills to the 9th grade level or higher, they quote unquote graduate from our program. And this picture here is one of our graduates from last year. Her name is Miriam. She fled the war in Syria with her family. Her children were able to get English language instructions in the public schools. She came to us to learn English, and we're proud to say that she's now, living independently because she is able to use her English. In a typical program year, we provide more than 12,000 hours of instruction to 200 adult learners. So we don't serve children, just adults. And we serve two populations that I've talked about: the English language learners who come to this country, many of whom want to stay here forever and foster a better life for their family. We also serve those native-born Americans who reach adulthood without becoming strong readers. All of our students come to us voluntarily. We have referral agreements in place with a number of agencies, such as the Michigan Works Employment Agency, our local libraries, human services agencies, adult education programs, and some of us students just find us by word of mouth. But all of our students have one thing in common. They really lack self-confidence. Some of them have not had good experience with the education system in the past, and they doubt their ability to learn. So the greatest gift we give them is really confidence that they can achieve their goals through literacy, and we put them on the path towards achieving those goals. So I want to introduce you to a couple of our students. The first student I want you to meet is Vida. She is a retired hairdresser who wanted to learn to read, an opportunity that was denied her as a child. And before I share a short video with her, I just want to tell you how her story sheds some light on how people who were born and lived in this country can reach adulthood without being a strong reader. Many of our students come to us because they have an undiagnosed learning disability that makes it difficult for them to read. Others come to us after having had their education interrupted, perhaps by family circumstances or frequent moves. And this was the case with Vida. She grew up in the South as one of many children of a poor farming family. And I'll let you tell her how she came to come to Oakland Literacy.
Schooling just something that we weren't allowed to have. I had to work the fields. Then I moved north. I would say I was 12 years old. And when I got there, they put me in the 6th grade. I didn't know what was going on. I was ashamed. I wasn't communicating with people because I didn't know how to speak properly. My self-esteem was just going lower and lower. I dropped out of school at 15.
If you could see the way she was writing at the beginning of that process and the way she's writing now, they are worlds apart.
My self-esteem is much higher. I've wasted a lot of time in my life, but now here I am. I'm not wasting anymore, and I really feel good about myself.
So Vida was able to support herself after she dropped out of school as a hairdresser, but she always struggled to read things like the newspaper, notices that came in the mail to her house, even the instructions on household appliances. So in what is often an act of courage for adults like her, she came to Adult Literacy Council for help. When she was first placed with the tutor, she was reading at about a 3rd grade level. Today, she's close to a 9th grade level. We hope that she will graduate this year. And she's reading all sorts of things. And as she told you, just has a great self-confidence that she had lacked throughout most of her life. The next student I want you to meet is Galia. She came to this country in 2013 with her husband and her children, seeking a better life, as many immigrants do. She and her husband were well educated, but they never had any formal instruction in English. So Oakland Literacy Council paired them with tutors, and they got their English skills up to the point where they were able to open a business. They run a tailoring and alteration shop in Sterling Heights, and Galia has graduated from the program. And what is a remarkable example of paying a gift forward, she reached out to the council when her business got too busy and she needed extra help, and I hired one of our other students who's another immigrant with sewing skills who is able to work with her.
Hey, Lori.
And yes.
Can I ask you to try and reset your slides just real quick? So it seems like we're kind of stuck on one of the beginning slides.
Oh no. So you didn't see the video?
We didn't see the last video. No, we didn't.
We could hear it, we couldn't see it.
Are you looking at a slide now with Galia?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so this is another video of an ESL student who graduated from our program. And as you listen to her, I just want you to notice how isolated her life was before she started to work with a tutor to how engaged she is now in her community.
I live in here, no family, and I'm just lonely, and I have no friend, and I can't speak English, so can't go outside. I'm afraid. My tutor helped me to get a citizenship. November, it's time to vote time, and I went there. So I did first vote, and the sticker was on my here. I was so proud of it. I was a new country. It's my country. It's my country, and I can share everything and with them, and then I can join them. I have a voice.
So Sung-hee went from being afraid to leave her house to becoming a citizen. She has a job today. She's very involved with her kids' school. Literacy really opened doors for her, as it does for so many English language learner students. So how do we do this? How do we get students who are low literacy to where they need to be? We use a one-on-one model primarily. We train volunteers, folks who don't necessarily have a background in education, to be tutors, and they meet individually with students. Before the pandemic, they would meet in public locations like libraries or coffee shops. Now, of course, they are meeting online via video conferencing, tools like Zoom or Skype, and they meet for 2 hours a week. The tutors use curriculum that we have purchased that has been proven to lift literacy levels of students. And they work at a time that is convenient to both the volunteer and the student. So the one-on-one model allows us to really be student focused. We test every student when they come in. We use a placement exam, and we start at whatever level they're at. They may be at the lowest level of literacies. They may be at a middle school level. We begin there. We also assess what the student's goals are. And if they need literacy to achieve an immediate personal goal, we start with that. This picture is of one of our students, Kevin, who came to us at 18. He's somebody who struggled throughout his whole school career to read. And his immediate goal was he needed to be able to get to an auto mechanics repair class, but he could not pass the written driver's license exam. So the first thing his tutor worked on was reading Michigan's driving laws and preparing for that written exam. And he was able to pass it on that first try and go on to enroll in that course that he wanted to set him on a path towards independency. Other students may want to interview for a job and fill out employment applications, so our tutors start there. We're very student-centered. And we wrap around, we test every student annually to make sure they're making progress on their reading goals. We wrap around that one-on-one tutoring with some other things. Research shows that a student who has 100 hours of instruction in a year makes significant educational gains, and we want our students to do that. So in addition to giving them a tutor, they have the opportunity to participate in a small group, or they can do online learning on their own to practice what the tutor has taught them. And we have found that students who do that additional practice do make strong gains when we evaluate them at the end of the year. Now, what we're facing with now, since the pandemic, is this real digital divide in our community. Three things happened that have really pushed the need for not just basic literacy, but digital literacy to the forefront. First, we found that during the pandemic, many of our lowest income students could not continue with their tutoring because they did not have access to technology or the internet, and they didn't have the skills to use that technology. Second, we realized that suddenly there were all these low-income communities with children who had to be educated at home with parents who didn't know how to use the technology or didn't have access to it. And finally, we are aware that even entry-level jobs these days require digital skills, and a lot of workers just don't have them. Even jobs like entry-level home health aides have to use tablet computers to enter patient data, and retail clerks are using apps to return items. So digital literacy skills are really important. And this summer, we really brainstormed with our partners to find out how we could address this problem. And we're proud to say that we have obtained over $100,000 in grants to promote digital literacy in Oakland County. We are specifically focused on Pontiac as a low-income community. We have partnered with the Hispanic community in Pontiac and with workforce development agencies to serve residents who need both access to technology and training. So we will be loaning those residents laptops, teaching them how to use their computers, and then providing them with a one-on-one literacy tutor if their English skills are not up to par. We're really in the early stages of this grant, but we're excited about the potential to begin to bridge the digital divide here in Oakland County. So in a nutshell, what is Oakland Literacy Council about? We're really about the close relationships that develop between our volunteer tutors and our students. We're about focusing on our students' goals and meeting them where they're at. We are about making sure that they are making steady progress from year over year in their English skills. And we are about keeping costs down because we are, while staff supported, we are really volunteer run. And we hope you guys will get involved. There are a few different ways to get involved. The first is just to become an advocate for adult literacy. If you can talk up the fact that there's such a need for basic literacy and digital literacy in our community, that will go a long way towards helping to make sure that services get to those who most need it. We are always looking for volunteers to serve as tutors or to lead our small groups. So if you know a friend or a family member who is looking for a safe, meaningful way to volunteer, please send them our way. We train all of our tutors and we support them throughout the year of service. And finally, we are a 501c3. We get some government funding, but more than half of our revenue comes from private sources. Our major fundraiser is in November, and we're always looking for sponsors for that fundraiser or people to purchase tickets. You can also just sponsor a student if you'd like to do that. I put up the Oakland Literacy Council website. It's at www.oaklandliteracy.com. My phone number, our email address. Please get in touch with us if you want to know about more to get involved. And I thought I would just pause here to see if there are any questions that I can answer about our program. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself if you're on Zoom, or if you're at the meeting in person, if there's a way to pass a mic to anybody.
Any questions? Sounds like we don't have any questions in the room.
Okay. Well, then finally, I'll just close by sharing another short video that Channel 4 did about us and one of our older students. Our students range in age from 18 to 80. This is one of the oldest ones.
Out of something most of us take for granted, and that's the ability to read. A local man has spent nearly his entire life really only knowing how to read 2 words, his first and last names. As Paula Tutman shows us, he decided to take a chance to learn for one big reason.
You know what? There is a joy in reading just for the pleasure of it, but there's also a need. And I heard an interesting statistic today that surprised me. More than 10% of the population in Oakland County alone does not communicate or read well enough just to function on a daily life to get stuff done they need to do. Today, the Bloomfield Township Library is an oyster to 84-year-old Robert Prosser, who is living a new life as a reader.
Faculty.
Barely able to read it all at 15 years old, he was told, hang it up. You can't read. You can't be taught to read.
And the teacher told me that she don't think I can learn, so I didn't go back to school.
He's lived his entire life working as a painter and not being able to read.
When you're traveling, you learn how to pick out a building or a tree or something that's familiar.
Until at age 79, he wanted to read the most important book in his life, the Bible.
He had a passage that he was going to have to read to the congregation.
He connected with the Oakland Literacy Council and began a long and arduous journey towards literacy. So what was scary about it?
Will I ever be able to do this? Will I be able to do this? And I knew that I would never do it if I didn't try.
The day arrived and he read the passage to the church and they clapped and clapped, and can you imagine?
Today he reads at a 2nd grade level, and the world is very different for him.
President Theodore Roosevelt. It's a new world.
Isn't it?
It's a new world. It's a new world. People wouldn't believe how beautiful it is. I wish I could tell people that don't know how to read to do it. I've read about people in space, Oprah Winfrey. I read about Lincoln and how he was as a boy and grew up and became president. All of this was fascinating to me.
He says he will continue his tutoring until the day he dies.
Carriage.
Paula Tutman, Local 4.
You know, he said he wished he could tell other people to learn to do it. Well, you just did. Because it's just overcoming the stigma. It takes people like him saying, you know, that this is the way my life was and this is how it is now.
And you think about all the things.
Yeah, so just to sum up, that really is getting adults to overcome their stigma and come forward. We've got tutors who are there to help them. Thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it so much.
we won't be able to hear him. So, because John's laptop is muted. So, but thanks very much, Lori. So we really appreciate your coming and speaking to us today. So obviously we're still dealing with the challenges of a hybrid meeting, trying to make sure everything works smoothly and whatnot. So, but we're getting there. So yeah, we're getting there. But thank you very, very much for sharing that message. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and I apologize to the slide stuck. I'm not sure why it was.
You know, one thing I did miss, and I apologize, Mr. J, you had a little talk you wanted to do, or next time? Okay. Anything else before we close this thing out? Hey, we got our mayor here today. I just noticed that. All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Lori. Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we'll get there.
Yep. I had to call or text John and ask him to mute the mic because it was interfering with her communication. So
yeah,
a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to figure out the microphones, but we'll get there. We'll
we
get
will.
it. So
Good
Thanks
job,
again.
Tim. Great selection there. Thanks.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Everybody, stay safe and healthy.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Good, Ray.
Good. Give you a buzz.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good week. Stay safe and healthy, people.
Yep. All right. See you, Jerry.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.